kind of take me through, maybe not necessarily, you don't have to talk about the nitty gritty of Vietnam itself, but just your experience as a whole, and then what you were telling me about returning home.
Right. I had the honor to speak at the regional library this morning, this afternoon at 1 o'clock. And a little story I told of this young man going to Vietnam at the age of 18. And as he arrived in Vietnam, southern Vietnam, at Bien Hoa, stepping off the airplane, all of a sudden incoming rockets came in and everybody was running towards the bunkers and taking protection. And here was this young man also going to find a bunker. And as he was in that bunker, he stopped and thought, and he said, well, welcome to Vietnam. And the next few days, a week or so, all he did every day was build sandbags and fill sandbags. And he's wondering what unit was he going to get to. And day after day, and finally a captain came up to him and says, well, you have your orders, you're going to the DMZ. And this young man said, well, what's the DMZ? And the captain said, well, you'll find out. So after a few weeks, he went to the DMZ, which was the Quang Tri Province. And a few months later, after his 19th birthday, early in the morning, a rocket attack came in. And one rocket hit the bunker that he was in. And it just kind of rolled that bunker over and the sandbags over, and the medics and other soldiers came in to make sure everybody was okay. And as they pulled the sandbags away, they found this young soldier, this young 19-year-old man under the sandbags. And as they pulled him off, they kept saying, are you okay? Are you okay? And he said, yeah, I think so. So they got him out finally, and he checked him over, and everything was okay. Well, I'm able to tell that story today, some 40 years later, that those sandbags saved my life. So that's just one instance that I had in Vietnam. That was in 1969. I came home the early part of 70. And we didn't come home as a unit or a company. Myself and one other young man that went to Texas, and I ended up going to Tennessee. And one thing that we were told was, don't come home with your uniform. Make sure you change your uniform, you change into civilian clothes, because they didn't want anyone to know that we were from Vietnam, that we had served in Vietnam.
And if you could just kind of talk about what that reason was.
Well, we were, like I mentioned earlier, we were called anything from monsters to baby killers. We went there to do a job, to serve our country. And we came home to an era that didn't look upon the Vietnam vet as they should. We were looked down upon. Some was literally spit upon. And no parade, no welcome home for the Vietnam vet. And are we bitter? Yes, in one way. Bitter at our government to a point of abandonment that we felt. But there's always been that honor. There's always been that prestige, you might say, of being a vet. That we served our country, we served it proudly, we served it with honor, and we're proud to be a vet of the United States of America. And like I mentioned earlier, we had the parade yesterday walking downtown, and someone was saying, boy, it was a great turnout and everything, and I looked at one of the vets, I said, yes it is, this is literally my first parade, some 45 years later. So it was an honor and a privilege to walk down with all the Vietnam vets from Chapter 1061 of Harrisonburg.
That's outstanding. And I guess kind of maybe touch on yesterday and the reaction that you got.
Yeah, the reaction was really something as we marched down Main Street there, and the crowds on both sides, and hearing the applause and hearing the thank yous for our service. That really, really meant so much to us. And then looking over to my left as we marched down and seeing some little boy, I think he was about maybe 5 or 6 years old, dressed out in a full Marine uniform, and he was standing there saluting everybody. And myself and Mike turned and we saw him, and we just stopped and saluted him, and he saluted us back. That made my day, to see that young man standing there dressed as a Marine and saluting everybody as we walked by. It was an honor, it was a privilege to walk down Main Street and as a Vietnam vet.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can only imagine, especially that it was the first time. More big picture, Veterans Day as a whole. What are your thoughts on the holiday? And you know, we set this day aside to honor all veterans.
Right.
Is it, and then maybe more of a two-part question, is it celebrated the right way as a whole? You know, do we do the right thing in terms of the parades and the recognition and whatnot?
You know, years and years ago as a veteran, I really didn't think much about Veterans Day. Not that I was ashamed of being a vet, I'm not. Like I said, I'm proud to serve this country and serve it with honor. We have the greatest nation in the world. And if it took our generation of Vietnam veterans to help understand what this country was founded on, the freedom that we have, and it's all because of veterans from the past to the present. Without those veterans, without the military of this country, we would not be as free as we are today. But Veterans Day now, it's an honor. I'm glad that this day is set aside for veterans, and that myself and the chapter had an opportunity to walk down Main Street and walk down proudly on Sunday in representative of Veterans Day. It was a great honor and a privilege to do that.
I'm happy to hear that was such a positive experience for you. Now, fast forward to today, the present day. Veterans are dealing with a lot, and you kind of touched on the issues you deal with paperwork and VA and whatnot.
Right.
Can you kind of give me your thoughts on that and what a debacle it's been?
It's a shame that it's taking so long for veterans to. It's easy to get into the system. What's hard is to get the benefits that are coming to veterans. Not only my generation of Vietnam vets, but I know some World War II vets that had trouble getting benefits for their service. And I no doubt there's some Iraqi veterans and Afghanistan veterans are going through the same difficulty and the same problems as Vietnam vets. I know Vietnam vets have waited as much as 36 months, and they're still waiting through VA to get what's recognized, what they deserve to get as benefits. I learned today at the library, speaking at the library, a representative there saying on an average, I believe he said it was 212 pages of paperwork that a vet has to fill out. Myself, there's no cause for that. They asked us to serve, we served. Now we're asking for help, they need to help.
Absolutely. The process shouldn't be that difficult.
It shouldn't.
For let's be honest, this country's heroes. That's what I believe. I didn't prep you for this question, but it just came to my mind. I don't know if you have a strong opinion either way on it, but I'm curious to know all the same. the present day conflicts, military conflicts that we deal with. For example, on Friday, this past Friday, it was announced that additional 1,500 soldiers are being sent to Iraq. Do you have any strong opinion on that either way, that we can, soldiers keep getting sent to the Middle East, which is such a hot,
right,
such a hot zone?
It's, I have thought about it, and it's a shame that, I hope it doesn't come to this, but it's going to be a shame. It's going to be sad for us as veterans to see our military go back into Iraq and try to gain back land that they've already died and bled for. That's sad. That's sad upon our country or our government officials. While we were there, we should have stayed there. We should have kept some forces there. Somehow, some form, some fashion, our military should have stayed there, because it was told, it was warned to us that most likely they're going to come back in and try to take over once the military moved out. And so be it. It has happened. So why go back in? More lives, more blood shed upon foreign land that we've already bled and died for. That's the sad part.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I was curious to get your thoughts on that subject. Shifting back to your personal experience as a veteran, do you recall when you came home from Vietnam, just what you were feeling? Just, you kind of talked about the negative reactions that you were getting from people, the name calling, what felt like a lack of respect and appreciation for what you guys did. Do you remember feeling any which way when you got home and you had kind of settled into the fact that you were here, you weren't in Vietnam anymore? Do you remember any of those feelings, or
just probably being angry, upset, really not wanting anybody to know that I served in Vietnam? Not that I was ashamed of it. I was proud to serve our country and to serve it with honor. But to know what names we were being called and what we had to go through with public opinion, and to have no recognition of the service and the honor that we served for this country. We were called and we went. And then to come home to nothing, and to feel that we were abandoned and left alone and to fend for ourselves, that was a disgrace on our government. But as a Vietnam vet, I think I can speak from the heart to a lot of other vets. We were proud. We were proud to serve this country, to stand up for this flag. And one thing about these colors never run. We never run from anything. When we are called to serve this flag, we come with honor and respect and glory and ready to fight for this country. And that's what we did. And to come home to nothing, to feel that we were left alone and abandoned, that's what hurt. And now we go through all the paperwork and trying to get benefits that we deserve, that we feel we deserve for serving this country. And not only us, but our families, our wives, those that have sons and daughters that have served, mothers and fathers now trying to help their children. It's a shame. This flag is great. This country is great. We are a great nation. But to see some officials, some government bureaucrats look upon the veterans as nothing, that's a shame. That's what hurts. And that's something I hope and I pray that we can all get around and come to understanding that these vets served the country. It's now time to serve them.
Well said. Very well said.
Thank you.
I have one last question for you. This is kind of your personal opinion. As far as respecting and honoring and appreciating the veterans, and just because it's Veterans Day, do you think this country, the citizens of this country, regardless of skin color, the political beliefs, religious beliefs, any of that, gender, whatever have you, do people say thank you? Do people give you the appreciation and the respect that ultimately every veteran deserves, in your personal opinion?
I think this country has made great progress towards the vet. Can we continue to go further? Absolutely. Like I said, if it took our generation as veterans, as Vietnam vets, if you want to call it to wake up this country, to help show respect to all veterans, then if it took our generation to do that, then we're honored that we could bring the country around to help honor all vets. One thing about it in Vietnam, we didn't look at skin color. We didn't look at gender. We were there to help one another. We had each other's back. And one thing about if you're black or white or pink or purple, whatever your color you are, when you're shot, when you're wounded, and when you're bleeding, that blood is the same color. It's red. And we're there to help and to protect and to help one another. And I think that's what this country is all about, and I think that's what our new vets are. They respect one another. They honor one another. They know that we are all Americans. Don't matter what color you are, we're Americans. And that's what's great about this nation.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you'd like to say, like to touch on, anything at all?
Just thankful to be a veteran, to serve this country with honor and with respect. I'm thankful for my wife sticking around with me. She's a veteran right along my side for 40-something years. Without her, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So a lot of times the honor goes to the veteran, but they need to look at the wife or the husband, vice versa, whichever way it is. It's great to be a part of this country. It's great to have our Vietnam Veterans Chapter because we're there for one another. Wives, family, children, grandchildren. It's really an honor.
Is there anything else you want to say?
One thing about this country, and we have a nickname or a slogan that we have for our chapter, and it's simply this: freedom isn't free.